All right, thank you. There's nothing I like more, Robin, than prolonged bumper music. just
I know.
As much bumper music as I can get.
At least
I
it's
can't get enough
danceable.
bumper music.
Yeah.
And now I know why.
I'm feeling so shattered, actually. So we have to restore my shatteredness. This is a beautiful book. It is called Restoring the Shattered. It's written by Nancy E. Head. She's on the phone. She's a journalist. Let me get rid of this music. She taught English in Asia. Wow. She restores antique quilts.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow. She co-leads a small lead group. You know, when a quilt gets old, it's got that moldy smell to it, you know?
Yeah. Well, she'll take care
She
of it.
co-leads a small group at her church that is devoted to ministering to the needy, and she's an instructor at Penn State Altoona and Great Commission schools. Let's talk to Nancy right now. Good morning, Nancy Head. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Good morning, and it's an honor to be on your show.
So tell me about the book. What is the book about?
The book is my story. It begins when I was a single mother with 5 children, and we had periods when we didn't have very many resources.
Where were you?
So,
Where did this happen?
well, my husband left in 1985, and between 1988 and 1992, I was a returning adult student at Penn State in Altoona and down at University Park.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
And once I graduated from college, it took me a while to get a job. And I didn't have a whole lot of money in that period of time. And in the meantime, I'd gotten a lot of support from people in the church and people in the community. All kinds of support and encouragement, and all kinds of encouragement. There was some material provision sometimes, food left on the porch, clothing, all kinds of needs for us.
Okay.
But it was more than that, because people sometimes would take me aside and say, well, why are you in college? You should make sure you're doing this and this and do it this way and that way, encouraging me to be a good student and to make the most of it and you know, what I could expect from a secular university as Christian.
Okay, and what? Yeah, talk about that a little bit. The dynamic or the dynamic difference between a secular school and a Christian student.
Well, that was kind of interesting. It was interesting to be a student in my 30s. I found that I had a little bit more credibility with the instructors than, honestly, the young white males were much more reluctant to say anything.
Because why? Because why?
They felt intimidated. They felt like their views were being judged and that that might affect their evaluation.
Really? Okay.
I somehow figured out a way to not have that limitation. And I don't know if it was the difference in my age, but it really
had to be. Yeah, I think it was.
I would guess that they felt a little less. And I don't know, if they would have been trying to intimidate me at all. But no, I never felt that at all, and I spoke up when I could. And back then, it was cool to read the women writers of the 19th century. Most of them happened to be Christians. So it was actually a big advantage to know something about the Bible and to understand, oh, look, that's a literary allusion, right? They're referring to the story of Lazarus and the rich man.
Do you know?
Which most people might just read over and not understand.
Nancy, whenever I read a biography, I often read them, and there's 2 different biographies as far as I'm concerned. One tells the story of somebody's life and every accomplishment they attribute to themselves. And another one tells the story of their life and many of the accomplishments they attribute to themselves, but there are some that they say this had to be in a God moment. It sounds like your story has you definitely view some things in your life as God moments. Am I right?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
So what was the big one?
Many of those.
What was the big what was the biggie, the big God moment that happened for you at that point in your life, the thing that turned things around?
Well, it was that moment after college. And we didn't have any money, and things were getting bad. And I'm starting to, I didn't have caller ID at the time, but the phone rang and you picked it up, and starting to recognize the debt collector's voices. Oh, that's him.
Yeah, I knew those voices too.
Yes. So you're familiar with the, oh, hi, how's it going? Everything's wonderful.
Right.
At one point in college, my dryer broke, and I went to the local appliance store, and I loved it. I loved this. I was behind a payment, my $25 payment. I was behind, and the lady told me she was waiting until spring break to call me.
Oh, really? So,
was pretty sweet.
Gosh, there's so many people who can relate to what you're saying. I think many of us went through that. You watch TV or in today's age or on social media, and it looks like everybody's got it made, but it never has been the case. I think.
No, it's never.
I think
it still isn't. There's still the neighbor next door or somebody, or you this week because you had the big medical bill or something.
Right.
At that time, right after college, and you'd think, well, this would be a great high time, but it took me about a month and a half to get a job that was part-time, and then it took, I'd say 8 months till that turned to full. So here we are. We're running out of tea bags, peanut butter, hot dogs, all the stays of low-income mothers. I've got a sugar. I mean, the basics, the cupboard is bare. I sit down and I open my Bible. And if I recall by chance, it might have been a devotional, I don't remember, but I ended up in the book of Habakkuk. Not the most read book of the Bible ever. Very short. And the last few verses start to talk about when the stalls are empty, and when there's nothing on the vine, and when there's nothing in the field. I will rejoice in God anyway. And that's a paraphrase.
And you related to that. When you read that, you related to that story.
Yeah, and I said to God, okay, I rejoice. And I wasn't a whole lot more praiseful than that. But that's the
How did you rejoice? What
I
did?
just said I rejoice.
That's it?
I rejoice.
It was just a verbal thing. It was just something you said.
Yeah. Okay, Lord, I rejoice.
So you didn't go out and have a party or something?
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
No, there's no need to have a party here. The next day was much like a party. The next day,
why? What
God
happened?
God will take you to the edge and teach you the lesson. And once you've learned the lesson, he'll fill the need. So the next day, I go out to collect the mail and pick up the stack of mail, thinking there's some bills I can't pay. And there are 2 envelopes from Penn State University. One of them has a check for $1,500.
Wow.
Well, I don't think the other one looked fast, too. It was my $50 deposit from my application 4.5 years ago. So we went to the grocery store. We appeased every single bill collector with something. And a few weeks later, we had our support system when we got the things straightened around, and we began to find our feet financially. But that's the moment that I really go back to. It was my low point.
So how would you, if you could go back in time, how would you console yourself the day before those 2 pieces of mail came in? I mean, obviously the way you did console yourself was through the Bible passage. But I mean, and the only reason I'm asking it this way is because in our real world, we do have people we run up against. They may be family members. They might be just somebody you meet in McDonald's or something. And they're going through the worst of times. And you want to tell them, come on, just have faith. It's going to be light at the end of the tunnel soon. You just got to have faith. And they might come back at you with, well, I hope you're right, but I don't think so. The pessimism sits in. What would you say to that person? Maybe that wasn't you, but what would you say?
Yeah, I think first of all, you need that person to sit down with. That person that you can sit down and say, this is bad. I have 2 friends. I talk about them in the book, Cindy and Renee. And I can pretty much say whatever I need to say to either one of them to get myself through. And if one's not here, then I reach out. And to have that person, that's crucial. The close Christian friend to advise you, to guide you. There's so many times that really made a difference. And there's the occasional person who speaks into your life that, again, there was a time I wrote about this recently. When I was a new teacher, I developed this daily ritual. I put a quote on the board by some famous person, an author, some person in history. Here's a quote for today. And I had this one quote by Cervantes, and it was in my notebook for months. And honestly, I really didn't like it so much. I was afraid it was going to convict me. I didn't want that kind of conviction. But one day I went into school and I thought, today's the day, put it on the board. And I noticed the teacher across the hall came over, read the quote, and turned around and left. I had realized that God had been saving that quote for her. It wasn't for me.
Oh, really? Nancy, what was the quote? Maybe I missed you. Did you say
the quote was?
Yeah.
The quote was, "The road is always better than the inn," by Cervantes. And the next year, that woman was teaching in Northern Africa.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, my gosh.
And I didn't know that she was seeking God's will and seeking confirmation, and just paused to come over and see what I wrote on the board. Perhaps it's the Holy Spirit prompting. You never know what you might say to somebody.
No, we don't know how much we don't know how much we influence each other. We just don't know.
I had no idea. It was years later. She had gone. I think she stayed 3 or 4 years. She was there over 9/11. We were very worried about her being in a hostile country.
Right.
And the hostile country liked us as an ally. So they were very good to her while she was there. And she came home a few years later, and we were sitting there talking about it, and she said, it's a quote you wrote on the board. That had something to do with it.
Oh, wow.
One of the things that you emphasize also is doing with and not just doing for. Big difference
exactly.
there.
It was a big deal that people dropped food off. There was this guy who I think went to a place where, like, the place is getting really old. Here's a case we can't sell anymore because it's past, those are the past date food. And about once a week for a while. And people came and they went and, as the need was filled here. And leave stuff on the porch. And he never talked to me about it. I'm not sure when I even found out who was doing it.
So Nancy, the book is like a giant blackboard. I mean, you have written a whole book that is going to be inspiring people all over the world.
That's what thank you. But what I'm really hoping is that people pick it up and say, here's how I can effectively help.
Right.
If people would only drop the food on the porch, I might still be waiting for people to still drop food on the porch. But that whole walking with thing, the whole, every Tuesday afternoon, I went to Renee's house and had a cup of peach tea and told her what was going on in my classes, what I was reading, what I was discussing. And there were times when I was exhausted driving from State College, my last semester, from State College, Pennsylvania. It's about a 45-minute drive to Altoona. And I would be so exhausted going to her house. And I would walk out of her house feeling so refreshed and just ready to go, reinvigorated, because we had conversation and we shared this study of the Bible and this relationship with Christ. But we cared about what was going on with us. If I had a bad week, if I had conflict with the ex-husband, problem with one of the kids was this way or that way. And it was always somebody to when you tell your problem to somebody, they help carry the burden with you, and they help you see that way. It makes so much difference.
Well, you move it past the family, though. You also advocate to mend the lines of division. And one of the most lines that need mending are the different religions, because everybody has their own religion. And it just seems like they want to keep it all separated instead of working together.
Well, within Christianity in particular is my discussion.
Exactly.
And, so much of it is a misunderstanding. Some of it is authentic disagreement. Many evangelicals believe in adult baptism, and many liturgical faiths baptize infants. And to some people, this is a big deal, and we cannot work with those people because. And, I knew of a church once who dropped a missionary because the tradition was infant baptism. And wasn't really a solution to the. Since we couldn't come to agreement, we had to separate.
Yeah, yeah.
And your dad was Catholic and your mother was Methodist.
Exactly. That was, and back in the day, of course, this is the time of Vatican II. And Dad wasn't a fan of Vatican II. And it was also during the Vietnam War. And my brother decided that the best road to independence would be to enlist in the Navy after 2 years of college. He could have stayed in college and had a deferment. He enlisted in the Navy instead. And it was kind of interesting because we showed up for his basic training graduation, and he said, I used to hope I got on that ship, but they're sending that ship to Vietnam.
Wow.
And he went to a Mediterranean tour, which sounds really cool. He went to Greece and Spain. And, he came back and he did very well. But my father went to Mass one week, and the priest was preaching against the Vietnam War. And my dad was my brother was in uniform, subject to go. And my father was a World War II veteran who signed up to go after Pearl Harbor. And that didn't go over well. So eventually Dad became a Presbyterian. After my mother died, he married a lady who was Presbyterian. But it didn't seem to matter. And he even told me once, just be something. And I knew he meant something Christian.
Right. Sure. I'm sure in his case he did. The book is called Restoring the Shattered. Nancy E. Head is our guest, and she's the author of the book. I found it on Amazon. You're getting some really good reviews, and it looks like, did the book not even come out yet? It comes out in like a week?
It came out January 22nd a year ago.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the wrong year. Okay, I got it. Do you have a website set up for the book?
I do. It's nancyhead.com.
Okay, excellent. So I have a question for you. Do you think that your faith was strengthened by the hard, rough times, by the shattered? Do you think being shattered actually strengthened your faith?
Oh, absolutely. I think I was very lukewarm before the trouble. And having to rely on God on a daily basis for daily provision and the encouragement you get from your relationship with Christ and from Christ's body, the church.
Well,
I don't know where we would be. And the 5 children, all functioning adults, everybody doing well in life, nobody dependent.
when people say you have to have faith, a lot of times it's not really clear what that even means. And I think what it means is to just know that you can move forward, you can travel, you can do whatever it is you really have your heart set on, and have faith that God's going to be there with you every step of the way. And I think maybe one of the, I'm not trying to say I figured out the meaning of life, but one of the thoughts I've had often is that maybe the whole purpose is just to be stronger, more faithful. Maybe that's why we're here. And so maybe that's why we go through hard times.
Well, one of the quotes I put on the board one of these days is Viktor Frankl, who basically came out of the I believe it was Auschwitz. I think he was in Auschwitz. And he said, the people who had hope survived. The people who lost hope didn't survive. And that's a paraphrase again. But that's an essential. Imagine that something intangible is crucial to our success in life. And it is.
And it seems by sharing your story and sharing everything that you've gone through, your book is really acting as a mentor for others.
Oh, that's interesting that you would say that, because what I talk about in the book is the importance of mentors, the importance of having a mentor, and the difference between a mentor and a discipler. Mm-hmm. The mentor is kind of the practical. And there are kids out there today. I think they come to school. There's personal hygiene issues. Nobody's teaching them that at home. Sometimes the parents are just trying to figure out how to get the next pie.
That's crazy, yeah.
So many things that we need mentors for today. The discipler will call you out to challenge yourself. Hey, what are you doing that's difficult? What are you doing stretching yourself? I remember the time I sat down next to my friend Renee in church, and I was so excited. I couldn't wait to tell her, my husband and I are going on a mission trip to Asia. And she just looked at me and said, I always knew you'd do that. I'm actually kind of disappointed. I was waiting for the, ooh, wow.
Wow, that's pretty. She's psychic or something.
I always knew you were going to do that.
Nancy, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. You got us all interested in learning more. So the best way we can do that is to read the book. I think your book, by the way, is a surrogate mentor. If in the absence of a mentor, I think the book will take that place and serve that purpose. Restoring the Shattered. Again, the book is on Amazon and NancyEHead.com. Nancy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
God bless.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu.